The book of Genesis, chapter 9, verse 1. Genesis 9 and 1. Genesis, the ninth chapter and the first verse. The new beginning. God blessed Noah and his sons and said to them, have many children, fill the earth with your people, every animal on earth, every bird in the air, every animal that crawls on the ground, and every fish in the sea will be afraid of you. All of them will be under your control. In the past, I gave you the green plants to eat. Now every animal will be food for you. I give you everything on earth. It's yours. But I give you one command. You must not eat meat that still has its life or blood in it. Also, I will demand your blood for your lives. That is, I will demand the life of any person or animal that takes a human life. God made humans to be like himself. So whoever kills a person must be killed by another person. Have many children and fill the earth with your people. Then God said to Noah and his sons, I now make my promise to you and to your people who will live after you. I make my promise to all birds and to all the cattle and to all the animals that came out of the boat with you. I make my promise to every living thing on earth. That is my promise to you. All life on the earth was destroyed by the flood, but that will never happen again. A flood will never again destroy all life on the earth. And God said, I will give you something to prove that I made this promise to you. It will continue forever to show that I've made an agreement with you and every living thing on earth. I'm putting a rainbow in the clouds as proof of the agreement between me and the earth. When I bring clouds over the earth, you will see the rainbow in the clouds. When I see this rainbow, I will remember the agreement between me and you and every living thing on the earth. This agreement says that a flood will never again destroy all life on the earth. When I look and see the rainbow in the clouds, I will remember the agreement that continues forever. I will remember the agreement between me and every living thing on the earth. So God said to Noah, this rainbow is proof of the agreement that I made with all living things on the earth. Problems begin again. Noah's sons came out of the boat with him. Their names were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham was the father of Canaan. These three men were Noah's sons, and all the people on earth came from these three sons. Noah became a farmer and planted a vineyard. One day Noah made some wine. He got drunk, went into his tent, and took off all his clothes. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw that his father was naked and told his brothers who were outside the tent. Shem and Japheth took a robe, put it across their shoulders, and walked backward into the tent. Then they covered their father without looking at him. Later, Noah woke up. He was sleeping because of the wine. When he learned what his youngest son Ham had done to him, he said, may there be a curse on Canaan. May he be a slave to his brothers. Noah also said, may the Lord, the God of Shem, be praised. May Canaan be Shem's slave. May God give more land to Japheth. May God live in Shem's tents, and may Canaan be their slave. After the flood, Noah lived 350 years. He lived a total of 950 years. Then he died. Genesis chapter 10, nations grow and spread. This is the history of the families of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. They are Noah's sons. These men had children after the flood. Japheth's descendants. Japheth's sons were Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshach, and Tiraz. Gomer's son was Ashkenaz, Riphath, Togarmah. Javan's sons were Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanim. All the people who lived in the area around the Mediterranean Sea came from these sons of Japheth. The people separated and went to different countries according to languages, families, and nations. Ham's descendants. Ham's sons were Cush, Mitzrayim, Put, and Canaan. Cush's sons were Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Rama, and Sabtika. Rama's sons were Sheba and Dedan. Cush also had a son named Nimrod, who became a very powerful man on earth. He was a great hunter before the Lord. That is why people compare other men to him and say, that man is like Nimrod, a great hunter before the Lord. Nimrod's kingdom spread from Babylon to Erech to Akdad, and then Calneh in the land of Babylonia. Nimrod also went into Assyria. In Assyria, Nimrod built the cities of Nineveh, Rehoboth, Kala, and Resen. Resen is the city between Nineveh and Calah, the big city. Mitzrayim was the father of the people of Lud, Anam, Lehad, Napha, Pathrus, Kasla, and Kaphtor. The Philistine people came from Kasla. Canaan was the father of Sidon. Sidon was Canaan's first son. Canaan was also the father of the Hittites, Jebusites, Amorites, Girgashites, Hivites, Archites, the Sinites, Arvadites, Zemarites, and Hamathites. The families of Canaan spread to different parts of the world. The land where the Canaanites lived went from Sidon down along the coast to Gerar, and from Gaza as far east as Sodom and Gomorrah, and from Admah and Zibium as far north as Laish. All these people were descendants of Ham. They are arranged by families, languages, countries, and nations. Shem's descendant. Shem was Japheth's older brother. One of Shem's descendants was Eber, the father of all the Hebrew people. Shem's sons were Elam, Asher, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram. Aram's sons were Uz, Hul, Gether, and Mash. Arphaxad was the father of Shelah. She was the father of Eber. Eber was the father of two sons. One son was named Peleg. He was given this name because the earth was divided during this life. The other son was named Joktan. Joktan was the father of Almadad, Shelah, Hatzarmapheth, Jerah, Hadoram, Uzo, Diklah, Obal, Amiel, Abial, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, and Jobab. All these people were Joktan's sons. They lived in the area between Mesha and the hill country in the east. Mesha was toward the country of Safar. These are the people from the family of Shem. They are arranged by families, languages, countries, and nations. This is the list of the families from Noah's sons. They are arranged according to their nations. From these families came all the people who spread across the face of the earth after the flood. Genesis 11, the Tower of Babel. There was a time when the whole world spoke one language. Everyone used the same words. Then people began to move from the east. They found a plain in the land of Babylonia and stayed there to live. Then they said to each other, let's make some bricks of clay and bake them in the fire. Then they used these bricks as stones, and they used tar as mortar. Then the people said, let's build ourselves a city and a tower that will reach the sky. Then we will be famous. This will keep us together so it will not be scattered all over the earth. Then the Lord came down to see the city and the tower. The Lord said, these people all speak the same language, and I see that they're joined together to do this work. This is only the beginning of what they can do. Soon they will be able to do anything they want. Let's go down and confuse their language. Then they will not understand each other. So the people stopped building the city, and the Lord scattered them all over the earth. That is the place where the Lord confused the language of the whole world. That is why it is called Babel. And it was from there that the Lord caused the people to spread out to all the other places on earth. The history of Shem's family. This is the history of Shem's family. 2 years after the flood, when Shem was 100 years old, his son Arphaxad was born. After that, Shem lived 500 years. He had sons and daughters. When Arphaxad was 35 years old, his son Shelah was born. After Shelah was born, Arphaxad lived 403 years. During that time, he had other sons and daughters. After Shelah was 30 years old, his son Eber was born. After Eber was born, Shelah lived 403 years. During that time, he had other sons and daughters. After Eber was 34 years old, his son Peleg was born. After Peleg was born, Eber lived another 430 years. During that time, he had other sons and daughters. After Peleg was 30 years old, his son Reu was born. After Reu was born, Peleg lived another 209 years. During that time, he had other sons and daughters. After Reu lived 32 years, his son Serug was born. After Serug was born, Reu lived another 207 years, 7 years rather. During that time, he had other sons and daughters. After Serug was 30 years old, his son Nahor was born. After Nahor was born, Serug lived another 200 years. During that time, he had other sons and daughters. After Nahor was 29 years old, his son Terah was born. After Terah was born, Nahor lived another 119 years. During that time, he had other sons and daughters. After Terah was 70 years old, his sons Abram, Nahor, and Haran were born. The history of Terah's family. This is the history of Terah's family. Terah was the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Haran was the father of Lot. Haran died in his hometown Ur of Babylonia while his father Terah was still alive. Abram and Nahor both married. Abram's wife was named Sarai. Nahor's wife was named Milcah. Milcah was the daughter of Haran. Haran was the father of Milcah and Iscah. Sarai did not have any children because she was not able to have children. Terah took his family and left Ur of Babylonia. They planned to travel to Canaan. Terah took his son Abram, his grandson Lot, Haran's son, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, Abram's wife. They traveled to the city of Haran and decided to stay there. Terah lived to be 205 years old. He died in Haran. Genesis chapter 12, God calls Abram. The Lord said to Abram, leave your country and your people, leave your family, father's family, and go to the country that I will show you. I will build a great nation from you. I will bless you and make your name famous. People will use your name to bless other people. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you. I will use you to bless all the people on the earth. Abram goes to Canaan. So Abram left Haran, just like the Lord said, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he left Haran. He took his wife, Sarai, his nephew Lot, all the slaves, and all the other things he had gotten in Haran. Then he and his group moved to the land of Canaan. Abram traveled through the land as far as the town of Shechem, and then to the big tree at Moreh. The Canaanites were living in the land at that time. The Lord appeared to Abram and said, I will give you this land to your descendants. Abram built an altar to honor the Lord who appeared to him there. Then he left that place and traveled to the mountains east of Bethel. He set up his tent there. Bethel was to the west of Ai, was to the east, and Ai was to the east, rather. Abram built another altar at that place to honor the Lord, and he worshiped the Lord there. Then he moved on toward the Negev, stopping for a time at several places on the way. Abram in Egypt. During this time, there was not enough food in the land, so Abram went down to Egypt to live. Just before they arrived in Egypt, Abram told Sarai, look, I know that you're a very beautiful woman. When the Egyptian men see you, they will say, this woman is his wife, and they will kill me and keep you alive because they want you. So tell them that you're my sister. Then they will be good to me because of you. In this way, you will save my life. So when Abram went into Egypt, the Egyptian men saw that Sarai was a very beautiful woman. Even some of Pharaoh's officials noticed her and told Pharaoh how beautiful she was. So they took her to Pharaoh's house. And Pharaoh was kind to Abram because he thought Abram was Sarai's brother. He gave Abram sheep, cattle, donkeys, camel, and men and women servants. Pharaoh took Abram's wife, so the Lord caused Pharaoh and all the people in his house to have a very bad diseases. Pharaoh called Abram and said to him, you've done a very bad thing to me. Why didn't you tell me Sarai was your wife? You said she is my sister. Why did you say that? I took her so that she could be my wife, but now I give your wife back to you. Take her and go. Then Pharaoh commanded his men to lead Abram out of Egypt. So Abram and his wife left that place and took everything they had with them. Genesis chapter 13, Abram returns to Canaan. So Abram left Egypt. He traveled through the Negev with his wife and everything he owned. Lot also was with him. At this time, Abram was very rich. He had many animals, much silver and gold. Abram continued traveling around. He left the Negev and went back to Bethel. He went to the place between the city of Bethel and Ai, where he and his family had camped before. This was where Abram had built an altar earlier, so he worshiped the Lord there. Abram and Lot separate. During this time, Lot was also traveling with Abram. Lot had many animals and tents. Abram and Lot had so many animals that the land could not support both of them together. The Canaanites and the Perizzites were also living in this land at that same time. The shepherds of Abram and Lot began to argue. So Abram said to Lot, there should be no argument between you and me or between your people and my people. We're all brothers. We should separate. You can choose any place you want. And if you go to the left, I'll go to the right. If you go to the right, I'll go to the left. Lot looked and saw the whole Jordan Valley. He saw that there was much water there. This was before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. At that time, the Jordan Valley, all the way to Zoar, was like the Lord's garden. This was good land, like the land of Egypt. So Lot chose to live in the Jordan Valley. The two men separated and began traveling east. Abram stayed in the land of Canaan, and Lot lived among the cities in the valley. Lot moved as far as Sodom and made his camp there. The Lord knew that the people of Sodom were very evil sinners. After Lot left, the Lord said to Abram, look around you, look north, south, east, west. All this land that you see, I will give to you and to your people who will live after you. This will be your land forever. I will make your people so many that they will be like the dust of the earth. If people could count all the particles of dust on earth, they could count your people. So go, walk through the land. I now give it to you. So Abram moved his tents. He went to live near the big trees of Mamre. This was near the city of Hebron. There he built an altar to honor the Lord. Genesis 14, Lot captured. Amphraphel was the king of Babylonia. Arioch was the king of Elazar. Kedorlaomer was the king of Elam, and Tidal was the king of Goim. All these kings fought a war against King Bir of Sodom, King Bersha of Gomorrah, King Shinab of Admah, King Shemebar of Zobeim, and the king of Bela. Bela is also called Zoar. All these kings joined their armies in the valley of Siddim. The valley of Siddim is now the Salt Sea. These kings had served Kedorlaomer for 12 years, but in the 13th year, they all rebelled against him. So in the 14th year, King Kedorlaomer and the kings with him came to fight against them. Kedorlaomer and the kings with him defeated the Rephaites in Ashtaroth Canaan. They also defeated the Zuzites in Ham. They defeated the Emites in Sheva Kiritham, and they defeated the Horites who lived in the area from the hill country of Seir to El Paran. El Paran is near the desert. Then King Kedorlaomer turned back, went to En Mishpat, that is Kadesh, and defeated the Amalekites. He also defeated the Amorites living in Hazazon Tamar. At that time, the kings of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zobeim, Bela, which is Zoar, joined together to fight against their enemies in the valley of Siddim. They fought against King Kedorlaomer of Elam, King Tidal of Goim, King Amraphel of Babylonia, and King Arioch of Elazar. So there were 4 kings fighting against 5. There were many holes filled with tar in the valley of Siddim. When the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah and their armies ran away, some of the soldiers fell into these holes, but the others ran away to the mountains. So Kedorlaomer and his armies took everything that the people of Sodom and Gomorrah owned. They took all their food, clothing, and left. Lot, the son of Abram's brother, was living in Sodom, and they captured him. They also took everything he owned and left. One of the men who had escaped went to Abram, the Hebrew, and told him what happened. Abram was camped near the trees of Mamre, the Amorite. Mamre, Eshcol, and Anar had made an agreement to help each other, and they'd also signed an agreement to help Abram. Abram rescues Lot. When Abram learned that Lot was captured, he called all his family together. There were 318 trained soldiers. He led the men and chased the enemy all the way down to Dan. That night, he and his men made a surprise attack against the enemy. They defeated them and chased them to Hobah, north of Damascus. Then Abram brought back everything the enemy had stolen, as well as the women and servants, his nephew Lot, and everything Lot owned. Then Abram went down after he defeated Kedorlaomer and the kings with him. On his way home, the king of Sodom went out to meet him in the valley of Shaveh, that is now called King's Valley. Melchizedek, the king of Salem and a priest of God Most High, also went to meet Abram. He brought bread and wine. He blessed Abram and said, Abram, may you be blessed by God Most High, the one who made heaven and earth. And we praise God Most High, who helped you defeat your enemies. Abram gave Melchizedek 1/10 of everything he had taken during the battle. Then the king of Sodom told Abram, give me my people who were captured, but you can keep everything else. But Abram said to the king of Sodom, I promise to the Lord, the God Most High, the one who made heaven and earth, I promise that I will not keep anything that is yours, not even a thread or a sandal strap. I don't want you to say I made Abram rich. The only thing I will accept is the food that my young men have eaten. But you should give the other men their share. Take what we won in battle and give some to Anar, Eshcol, Mamre. These men helped me in the battle. Please place it in the comments section. This is the word of the Lord. And follow, like, share, and subscribe. And make sure you text Hankerson to 314-315-9371 for ministry updates.